All right, welcome to another episode of Mike Sports. I'm Eric, joined as always by Landry. Landry, how you doing tonight?
Lots of football to talk about.
Yeah,
College. Yeah.
yeah, we definitely did. Your Raging Cajuns there, the LSU Tigers. I guess they're the real Death Valley. They won the national championship, knocked off Clemson.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the game?
Well, number one, I'm excited for Joe Burrow to go into the abyss of Cincinnati and never hear from him again. So that's one thing I can take away from that game. Lots of controversy around this whole thing, right? Number one, Clemson's guy got ejected. They think that had a lot to do with the score. I think LSU wins regardless. Maybe the score's a little bit better. He was kind of the captain of the defense. I think number two, OBJ handing out real money to the players is a big controversy. Hand $100 bills to everybody, wads of it, not just like 100 per player. Joe Burrow confirmed those were real $100 bills.
Wow.
Yeah,
I did not know
it's
about
on
that.
camera. Yeah, you can go type in YouTube, type in OBJ hands out money to LSU players. You can watch him doing it. It's right there on the field. It's not like he did it in the locker room.
Dude.
He did that stuff right on the sideline. He was just like, as soon as they won, he's pulled out wads of money and started going to players and putting wads in their hands.
Man, I wish I had just like dressed up as an LSU player going down and just
like,
right.
So there's that. Look, I predicted LSU to win back after they beat Alabama. I was like, I think they're going to wrap it up. I know you were big on Clemson.
Sure.
I think Clemson was a good educated guess. I mean, they certainly had the experience and the better coaching. I think the debate now is LSU going to become, a dynasty in what they're doing, or is this like a magic season? Joe Burrow leaves and they go back to kind of being a good team but not a great team. I think that's where the debate goes from here on out.
Yeah, and the thing is, not only is Joe Burrow leaving, but was it Joe Brady, the offensive leader, but he's kind of the designer of the offense, so to speak. Right. He's leaving too. He's going to the NFL. He's going to be offensive coordinator of the Carolina Panthers. And so, I mean, that begs the question, how big a drop-off is it going to be? Not only are you losing your star quarterback, but kind of the guy who put the system in place. If they were keeping Joe Brady, I think I'd have a lot more confidence saying that this could be a long-term juggernaut. But losing him as well, I think that hurts a lot. But that defense, I mean, that secondary, like they're still going to be really awesome.
My obviously my last name being Landry, I was obviously in LSU. LSU and UT are my two favorite teams. And, one of the things I said, look, in my opinion, LSU had a very Eagles-like year. There was a lot of magic. There was a lot of things that happened to their team. A lot of people, if you're watching the full game, the offensive coordinator's daughter and 7 other members died on the way to the game in Atlanta by a helicopter, and he still coached. He still went in that booth and coached the game. And there was a lot of magic just in everything that went into the hype and the motivation for LSU this year. I don't know if they're going to need that again, or if they're just a solid team. And like I said, without Joe Burrow being there, a lot of people were like, oh, he's not as good as what's his name on Clemson's quarterback?
I call him Lawrence. Yeah, Trevor
Lawrence. I call him Mullet Power. And I think that, Lawrence, that was, for a lot of people who don't know, that was his first loss in his career, his college career.
Right.
So I don't think he handled it very well.
Confused, if you remember that movie.
What?
He looks like the long-haired kid from Dazed and Confused.
Oh, yeah. The one that gets paddled, they're trying to catch.
Yeah.
All right. But I think that I think LSU is going to be a competitive team in the SEC going forward. I think that coach, they just have a good story about them. He was passed over by USC. They didn't think he was going to make a good, in their quote, a good head coach. They saw him more as a coordinator because of what he was with the Saints. Mm-hmm. He obviously proved to be a good head coach. He was passed over multiple times for multiple jobs, and he landed at LSU. And he's born and bred Louisiana. I see a lot of good things in LSU. I think LSU is an up-and-comer. Do I think they're going to be in Alabama or anything? I don't think so.
Well, I mean, look, when it comes to Alabama, they are like a dynasty like what they had is kind of like the Patriots where like
Nick Saban came.
It's not fair to expect that from anybody, really.
Yeah, Nick Saban came from the Belichick tree. So
Yeah, wow. The only Saban disciple to have any kind of success coaching anywhere.
Yeah, and I think we discussed it maybe last segment. Saban would have had success in the NFL had Drew Brees been able to play and been a Dolphin.
Yeah, had the Miami Dolphins doctor passed him in his physical, he would have been a Dolphin, and
he would have had a real quarterback at his disposal.
Right.
Who knows what he would have been as a coach? So,
yeah. I mean, and that's crazy. Well, that's a good segue to get us over into the NFL. Yeah, it's funny when we look at the AFC, which will be the first game to tip off or kick off on Sunday. The Kansas City Chiefs come from behind, down 24-0 to the Texans, and somehow rally to blow out the Texans.
Now, do you think the Texans lost the game, or the Patriots, or the Kansas City took the game?
I think Kansas City took the game.
Okay.
That's my opinion. I mean, it's just, I mean, Houston put 24 points out there before Kansas City did a thing, and it was almost like you're playing a game with maybe playing a game of Madden against one of your friends, and it's like he's not that good, and it's like, okay, we'll spot you 24 points, and then all of a sudden you can just see the comeback coming on, and it's like, okay, now
there were two camps in that game. There were the people going, "Ooh, man, Kansas City, I don't know now, man, you guys are looking bad," and there are the people going, "I know Houston's going to blow this lead. I swear it's going to come down to like a field goal. They're going to come right back." I think Kansas City took the game because they put up 51. Had they won by like a field goal, I'd be like, Houston lost it. They couldn't hold on to it. They let it slip. Not only did Kansas catch back up, and then they put a whooping on afterwards. So
yeah, they caught up to kick their ass. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah,
and it was funny when Kansas City went down 24-0. I looked over at my dad and said, "Hey, what kind of odds do you think I could get? Like, on those gambling sites?" I'm like, if I just went in right now, in-game bet, and just took the Chiefs, I wonder if I could get the Chiefs plus 10 or something like that, and it was like, if you took the Chiefs straight up to win at that point, because I went in and looked, it was like a plus 240, which, I mean, normally, when you get the point spread, it's a minus 110 just right off the bat.
Yeah.
But it was a plus 240, and I thought, I'm like, man, like, I should make this bet, because I just thought, I'm like, there's still a lot of football left.
Yeah, well,
and of course I didn't do it. And
look, and now we're going into that way. Is it the Texans? Is it the coach? I still think Bill O'Brien's a lot like Jason Garrett. He's a good coach. He's not a bad coach by any means. He's a good player. He connects well with the players. He does well with the media. He doesn't have any off-field drama. And he consistently keeps them competitive. But again, I think they're in that mode of they just can't get over that hump. They've been there a couple of times. They just can't get into that second gear come that play time. And to me, when you blow a 24-point lead, to me, that can't be on anything but coaching, in my opinion.
Look, when I feel like Bill O'Brien's kind of getting stuck in that spot where Andy Reid was in Philadelphia, where, of course, you could do a lot worse for head coaches. I mean, he's not a bad coach, and maybe a different, changing scenery, he could become a really, really good coach. But I mean, I think you're right. He just can't quite get them over the hump, just like Andy Reid couldn't get the Eagles over the hump.
I look at it more like the Tony Dungy switch out with Gruden in Tampa Bay.
Sure. I mean, and that's
I think all the talent's there. They're primed. They're ready to go. They can compete. I mean, Hopkins doesn't ever really drop a football. In fact, last year, anybody who doesn't know, Hopkins didn't drop one football last year. The only receiver. They caught every single pass he was thrown. I mean,
and me being an Eagle fan, trust me, I'm very envious of that. Seeing how many drops.
Hopkins is one of those guys who's just underrated. He just is. He doesn't get enough attention. The guy is Mr. Consistent. He's there every year. He makes spectacular plays. And this year, people got to see him. He didn't do as well, in the playoffs as he did regular season, in my opinion. But the real star of the show is obviously Deshaun Watson. But dude, the dude can only run and buy so much time. Someone's got to be open at some point.
Yeah, that's the thing. It just didn't seem like anybody was getting open for him.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the points the Texans put up were mistakes by Kansas City. They weren't just straight up running down the field, running it down their throat. So
But anyway, but the blocked punt, then they got the one score.
So that puts us at what? What are the game? San Francisco, Minnesota.
What's that?
I said, what game you want to talk about next?
Well, I mean, why don't we talk about the other AFC divisional round matchup, which was the Tennessee Titans going into number 1 seed Baltimore. And it's funny, as much as everybody likes to talk about how the game changes and how, now it's about so much about offenses and running quarterbacks and being able to throw the ball downfield and put up a ton of points. Who would have thought run the ball, play great defense, and you're going to be in every game?
Yeah.
And that's what
Henry's going to become a free agent next year. Do you make him a big contracted pay running back, or do we look at Le'Veon Bells and whatnot and go, that doesn't pay off long term? To me, Henry's different because he's so big. He's a different.
Yeah, that's the thing. And Tennessee's got to realize. Yeah, Tennessee's got to lock him up long term.
I'm not saying $90 million. I don't think you give him the large contract, but I could see a $64 million, $60 million contract for him.
Yeah. Yeah, somewhere in there, 60, 64 over, I guess, 5 years?
Yeah. And I think that doesn't make him a top running back, but it also makes him feel appreciated. You're paying him like a star.
Well, that's more than he would have gotten before this playoff run.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, and I also think, even as good as he is, Tennessee, he's built well. Mike Grable likes smash mouth football, so Henry suits his purpose.
Yeah, that's a real good fit for Henry.
My thing is if Henry thinks he's going to get a lockup like that somewhere else, I don't know a lot of other teams that are running back centric for Henry that don't already have the running back they want. So
right, and look, there's going to be a strong running back free agent class out there. Jordan Howard, Kareem Hunt, both names that jump right off at me. But I mean, we'll get more into that as we.
Yeah, and if you have an XFL team and you're in Cabo, Ezekiel Elliott, you can pick him up down there. We don't want him anymore; it costs too much money. So, that dude, let me say. Remember, I was on record saying, do not pay him $90 million, and to me, he has proven he is not worth $90 million.
And you know who's really mad at him for not proving that he was worth it? Guys like Derrick Henry, Jordan Howard, Kareem Hunt,
who are not lowering their expectations of
exactly
salary-wise now. Yeah. So, but for me, I saw a couple of things. Number one, I think Lamar Jackson got exposed. He did not.
And this is 3 years in a row in the playoffs. He's come up small.
Yeah, he did not look like the guy I thought he would look like, and it showed that if you scheme correctly, he's not the guy that no matter what you do, he's going to be able to run on you. He's not. They were able to scheme right and shut him down. So, and there was no effective running game, and I thought it was kind of funny, in my opinion, watching Manchild versus his old running back that he sat side by side with in Alabama. And he got to be the one that looked like he deserved to be in the NFL. Whereas, what can I think of his name? Heisman Trophy winner. Why am I not? Yeah, Ingram. Ingram did not look like the premier running back to me.
No, I mean, and it's funny when you see a picture of Derrick Henry next to
Mark Ingram. Remember? I put my phone up.
Yeah, it looks like Derrick Henry ate Mark Ingram.
Yeah. Well, I guess it would be Mark Henry after you eat him when he comes out. That's his new child.
Right. Yeah.
But I was that game we both picked Baltimore, if I remember correctly. But we both I know I certainly had there's a little magic following Tennessee right now. So who knows what could happen? But I thought, offensive octane, Baltimore would just be a little too much for their defense to contain. And to me, it ended up being the opposite. Tennessee's offense was just a little too much for them to contain. Yeah. So, I mean, did you see?
Yeah, I think we both had that mindset that I think we both saw that they might go shot for shot, at least in the first half. But then, in the second half, we both thought that Baltimore would kind of wear down Tennessee. And it was kind of the opposite way. In the second half, Tennessee just wore Baltimore down.
Yeah, I mean, when I was looking at Harbaugh's face, he looked like he was basically saying to himself, dude, I don't have a way to stop this guy. He just had his face like he was looking defeated before the game was over. And the team before him felt the exact same way. Like, there is no freaking answer to Henry at this point. No one has come up with one. Patriots couldn't do it. Ravens couldn't do it. I mean, now we're obviously about to find out, if
Yeah,
good
we're
old
gonna find out the
Chiefs
Chiefs
do it.
again.
Yeah. So, and I mean, look, KC's
I
got a
think
hell
the
of a
Chiefs answer. Yeah, I think the Chiefs' answer is probably going to be they're just going to try to outscore him. When Derrick Henry goes off, they're just going to hope that they can stop him enough, and then just they're going to hope Patrick Mahomes and that offense can hang with them.
I think KC, one of the things they do better than all the other teams that are in here right now is KC makes your defense tired. Eventually, in the fourth quarter, you look gassed against them because they're just so mobile. They're at quarterback and Hill. There's just too much offense running at full speed everywhere that you're just tired come fourth quarter against them, and that's when they start throwing those garbage points all over you because you're just so gassed.
Yeah, and look, normally if not like a defense, I don't want to say anybody takes the plays off, but like when you're feeling gas and it's like you gotta come up with one more play. Most teams, they might pick up 10, 15 yards on you when you're feeling gas like that. The Kansas City's going to score a touchdown on you when you do that. You kind of take a play off, try to, preserve some energy going after them. Dude, Casey's just going to bomb one on you, and they're going to score.
Yeah, and most teams would be like, oh, man, I'm going to fake an injury. We need to catch our breath here. But I don't know who – we'll get to those games, obviously, in a minute. We're recapping the games before, but – Mahomes doesn't look as good as last year, but he still looks good enough to beat you. So,
right, yeah. He doesn't quite look MVP good, but he's still pretty darn good.
And if I'm the Patriots, I'm going, hey, I know we lost against Tennessee, but obviously Tennessee's a good team. We didn't get knocked out in the first round because we sucked. We got knocked out because that team's a freaking juggernaut with a bowling ball coming down the lane.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd start a show. It wasn't just New England folding. It was Tennessee. It was just really good.
Yeah. Well, we're going to find out.
So, yeah, we are. So, okay, San Francisco, Minnesota.
In my opinion, I told you I thought the game's a waste of time. I knew the Niners were going to roll them.
Yeah, it feels like divisional weekend. I mean, that's always a real fun weekend. Typically you have really good football games up and down. That was one that I think we both spotted. This has a chance to be a dud. And, Kirk Cousins had a nice game in New Orleans and Minnesota got to the divisional round, but then it was just San Francisco is so good. And that defense is just.
Yeah. I tell people, I hate to say it, but San Francisco reminds me a lot of the 90s Cowboys. The way they're playing football. They remind me a lot of the 90s Cowboys. And for that matter, flashback, Joe Burrow reminds me a lot of Joe Montana coming out of Notre Dame. If you go back and watch some Joe Montana highlights, there's a lot of similarities between the way those two carry themselves and throw the football.
Yeah, and hey, we'll see about Joe Burrow being.
Now, I'm not saying he'll have the career because he's going to go but I'm just saying as far as mechanics and poise – under pressure, the way he lands the ball. I mean, I don't know. I went back and watched the highlights of the game just to see, a recap of Clemson. And Joe Burrow lands that ball, I mean, like perfectly softly into your freaking hands. Like you do no work to have to go chase the ball. It's there. Yeah,
it's funny. I think about I was watching it thinking about, Carson Wentz, who I'm a big fan of. Yeah. Just some of his passes this year were a little off, the guys having to reach back, even some of the catches that guys made, guys reaching back. Joe Burrow put everything right out there. It was just, right here. Yeah. Like the guy didn't have to break stride.
When you saw guys look over their shoulder, the ball's coming right in. I mean, there was no strain or having to stride or slow down, Yeah.
I mean, every pass was just right on him. And I don't know, and those LSU receivers are great. I mean, Ja'Marr Chase and Justin Jefferson.
I was surprised.
Those guys are phenomenal.
And we were texting during the game, and I was telling people the only way Clemson has the edge, and I was right because this is what I was afraid of, is LSU has a warm-up problem. They come out a little slow in the first. They came out a little slower in the first half. I go, but then they start gassing you. They start getting you worn down from chasing them all over the damn field that you start to slow down, and then their steady boatness just slowly starts to override you. And that reminds me a lot of what KC's doing to teams. Very similar. I mean, if you minus their mistakes, if you minus KC where they were killing themselves, I mean, that's a 64, 70-point game if you take those mistakes out. I mean, it's sick.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. If we see a full 60 minutes of Chiefs football, that could be scary. But I mean, but then again, Tennessee, that defense, the way they've been playing, it has been just lights out defense, and they love it. Their hurry up offense is just Derrick Henry, run faster.
Yeah, run faster, and hey, just close your eyes and bowling ball your way like Earl Campbell through whoever touches you. I mean, there were a couple of plays where he manhandled people with one arm. They were trying to tackle him. He's like, "Go away." Not stiff arm, just come on, man, get out of here. Like
he makes you not want to tackle.
He reminds me a lot of what was the big running back Jacobs on New York Giants back in the day?
Brandon Jacobs. Yep.
Yeah, Brandon Jacobs. I actually have his autograph and I have a picture with him. I mean, I was going to put it up during the thing, but I forgot. But when I was in New Orleans for the Super Bowl, he's one of the people signing autographs. And I remember when I took a photo with him, he didn't look as broad as I thought, but when he stood up, he was freaking tall for a running back.
Yeah, no, and he would run standing up, which I think was a big,
I wonder if Henry will start setting more of a precedent for bigger running backs in general. I mean, if NFL don't have an answer for big old bowling balls coming up the middle of that size, and Henry actually has good speed. I mean, if you saw some of his longer runs, I mean, guys were gassing to get up to him.
Oh, yeah, and he was picking up speed as he went. He wasn't running out of steam.
Yeah, I definitely. And the only close game of the week was Green Bay Seattle. All the other games were decided by at least 14 or more.
And now I'm curious as to your perspective. Now, on the final drive for the Green Bay Packers, they pick up a first down, real close call, and they went back to review the spot. Did it look to you like he had made the line to gain?
No, it did not.
You know what? I don't think so either.
Yeah, when I saw it, I was like, look, it is close. I can get it. You want undisputed evidence that basically makes you reverse it. It was enough to sit there and go, like, squint and go, oh, man. But if I had to make the call from what I saw on all the angles and the pixel zooming and whatnot, I thought it was about 4 inches short.
Yeah, I thought so too. But then again, they slow it down. They're showing all these replays, and all I'm thinking is I'm squinting and I'm looking and I'm trying to figure out, and I'm thinking to myself, one thing I can say, this is not irrefutable evidence.
Yeah, no, and I agree. And I looked at that. Now, and that's okay, because remember I said what I wanted to see happen is I want Rodgers to get right on the cusp of feeling like I'm going to get another one, and porn star Jimmy just takes him out of the picture. So I'm excited that he's going to get this close. I want to see Green Bay, especially now that I have Green Bay's ex-coach, and now I have a vengeance against Green Bay for Rodgers running.
I guess now you're ready to pick a fight with Green Bay. Yeah.
Now that they ran McCarthy out, now I'm like, now I'm ready for the disaster of Green Bay. But I do, and I also picked 49ers to go to the Super Bowl anyways. So, and win the Super Bowl, not just go. I expect them to win it. I think Rodgers is going to have a good game, but in my opinion, if we're talking about next round matchups already, I think 49ers completely outmatched the Green Bay Packers. I don't even think that's a close game in my opinion. I think that's going to be a 14-point difference.
Okay. The one area I might give you that is because of that defense in San Francisco. I just got done talking about how nasty they are on defense. And I don't think Green Bay is any slouch on D. The only area where I look at Green Bay and think they could have an advantage is just the experience of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo's played great this year. And so I really don't have any reason to question him. But that would be the one area where I look at and I just –
And I agree with you about that. I think the counter to that would be the inexperience of the coach. Counters his experience. Yeah. I think that's where he comes back to reality.
And where Kyle Shanahan's got plenty of experience in big moments.
Down to earth. Right. Shanahan has been there. Thanks to being in Atlanta and whatnot. And hey, let's face it, it was never the offense that was the problem in Atlanta. It was the defense that couldn't keep the Pats from scoring.
Sure. Yeah. And look, and if you want to dig a little deeper, go another layer onto it. I mean, Kyle Shanahan comes from the Shanahan family. Yeah. Like it's not like he's seen what his dad had to go through in preparation.
Or what happened to Atlanta when Shanahan left?
Yeah, they went down the tube.
Offense disappeared.
Yeah.
Shanahan is the real deal. Yeah, he's the real deal.
No, I'm leaning San Francisco. I'm not I'm not full on the way you are. Like you're, planting
Well,
down
that's because I got Niners to win the Super Bowl. So I mean,
Yeah,
I don't think
sure.
at this point, going over the topic, I'm always going to pick the Niners to win it. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and I'm going to go San Francisco as well, but I think it's going to be more of like a 3-point game.
Okay. Yeah, the only team so far that gave San Francisco minus, the 3 losses they had, but the only team that really gave them a run for their money was the Ravens.
Yeah, and that was a really good game.
That was a hell of a game.
I remember being so aggravated that day because that game was on at 1:00, the same time as the Eagles-Dolphins game. Now, of course, I was aggravated that the Eagles lost to the freaking Dolphins. That's another story. But I'm sitting there looking at it. How is Ravens-Niners that week not NFL Game of the Week? How was that not Game of the Week? And on at 4:25 for all of us to watch.
Yeah. Hey, and let me make an announcement since it was a Monday Night Football game, that game.
Actually, it was Sunday at 1.
Was it?
Yeah.
What am I thinking of? Well, anyways, going into my topic I'm going to bring up anyways.
Let's talk about Monday Night Football.
Well, I was going to say is Tony Romo is expected to be offered the largest contract in analyst history to be the Monday Night spokesman at $14 million a year, which is more than he ever made as a Cowboys quarterback. And they said that at this point he's looking like he is the best analyst to ever exist. And both ESPN and CBS they both feel that way about him. So I'm curious to see if CBS says we'll give you a $16 million contract. What do you think about that? Would you leave CBS for all the good they've done for you if they match that contract, or would you go Monday Night Football?
There's something prestigious about Monday Night Football. I know it's kind of lost its luster since going to ESPN and the networks basically deciding that Sunday Night Football would be the big game, almost like what Monday Night Football was. I remember – do you remember this conversation you and I had 2 years ago after the first year of Tony Romo in broadcasting when John Gruden took the coaching job for the Raiders? And I said to you,
I
Tony
remember
Romo will go and
get Romo. Yeah. And look, I think Romo's the best announcer I've heard. In fact, what's funny about it is he's become so popular that my friend hit me up when I was watching the game on Sunday. What game was on CBS? I forget. Out of the games, but anyways, one of them was
the Sunday game. He had the Kansas City game.
Yeah, no. He was on the Kansas City game, but there was another game that was on CBS. I think it was Titans Ravens on CBS.
Yeah,
but he wasn't on there. And my friend's going, "Where's Romo? These casters suck because he makes such a difference that when he's not there, you totally notice he's not the sportscaster." And I was like, "Dude, I don't know. This is a premier game. I can't believe they won't have him." And then, of course, I find out the dude's in Kansas City for that game. That's why he wasn't on.
Right.
Yeah. When you start basically, I don't want to use yearning as the word, but when you start going, where's my favorite announcer, in a game, you're kind of like, and you're kind of sitting there going, man, that must be a damn good sportscaster. I'm looking forward to hearing him talk.
It's funny. Last year when I realized CBS had the Super Bowl, I remember being legitimately excited thinking, all right, Tony Romo is going to be breaking down the Super Bowl. Hey, all you other, casual fans, you guys have the halftime show. You guys have the commercials. The hardcore football fan is Tony Romo breaking it down for me.
Yeah, and Tony Romo, he has a YouTube dedicated to him now called Romo the Psychic. And all it does is show him, say what's about to happen, and then it happens. And, I mean, this dude predicts plays like crazy. Now I'm envious. I'm like, bring Romo back to my team. This guy can actually.
Yeah, right. It makes you think, like, dude, this guy should be my offensive coordinator or something.
Yeah, I'm serious, man. I'm like, this dude is the bomb. And I'm sure Jerry Jones has probably thought about trying to get him to come back to the team in some capacity. Shit, make him the head coach. I'd be for it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I mean, I was saying, why not? I mean, the dude knows the freaking playbook, and he knows how to predict what the other team's going to do. Shit, he could be a defensive coordinator because he always knows what the offense is going to do.
Yeah, he could seriously take over on any side of the football. I am not, and look, you know me. I'm a diehard Eagles fan. The fact that I'm gushing this much about a former Cowboys quarterback, you got to know this guy's good.
Oh, I think Romo, he's just a likable character. It doesn't matter what team he played on. He's always going to be a likable character. Yeah, I mean, he's just got that personality that you're like, it doesn't matter where he goes. You're like, man, that dude's just cool. And then another news on Cowboy front.
Yeah, it was all just the pure skills.
Yeah. Yeah, and Jimmy Johnson got surprised with being inducted in the Hall of Fame, and so did Bill Bauer, and I thought that was really cool.
I like the way they did that this year.
Yeah, I like that. Jimmy Johnson cried, and what I liked about when I was watching it with my lady, and it went over to Troy Aikman, and Troy Aikman was also crying. And I just like that whole synergy of that relationship. And what I like about Jimmy Johnson's class is the first person, and the first words out of his mouth is, "You have no idea how much I am thankful for the coaching assistants that helped me get here." His first thing was to thank all of his assistants that helped him. And he didn't talk about himself, and he was grateful, and he went straight to his coaching assistants. Tells you a lot about Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, no, that was definitely a first-class move by Jimmy Johnson, right away knowing he had to thank all the coaches who worked for him, all the tireless hours. Like, I mean, we talked about it before, how many hours all the coaches put in to their craft.
Yeah, down to high school football coaches all the way up. I mean, those men don't see their families that often. They're in game room and film all the time.
Yeah, I heard a coach one time, and I really wish I could remember the coach's name, but he was talking to one of his assistants, and it was one of those, like, they were having a conversation about the hours that they put in, and he was worried about didn't get to see much of his son, all this stuff. And he said, he's like, I've won championships, I've done all this stuff. You know what I've never won? I've never won Father of the Year. He's like, so it's a choice, and it's it sucks.
That's why Mike McCarthy had said, "Hey, I took my time off to really spend time with my family because I knew as soon as I became a coach somewhere again, I was going to lose that time." What's so funny about it? I don't know if you watched the press conference. One of the comments of Mike McCarthy's wife was, "If you're not coaching an NFL team, you better find a Pee Wee team to coach. We're a football family." That was classic.
Yeah, if you're not going to coach in the NFL, you're going to coach your high school volleyball or something. And so he's like,
and she's
coach the Cowboys.
Yeah. His wife said, "We are a football family. We're never not involved in football." I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good support system. How many men would love to come home to a woman that just loves the idea of football? Yeah.
Yeah.
Kick ace. So. All right. Well, wrapping up. What do we got left?
Yeah, we're definitely having some issues here.
Yeah, we're starting. All we got left really. Let's see. Well, I already predicted San Francisco. You predicted KC. Oh, well, KC over Tennessee. Who you picking?
Kansas City.
Okay, I must have missed that. I'm gonna. Oh, this one's hard for me, man. I don't know. Tennessee's got some kind of freaking magic floating behind them right now. I feel like when Henry runs, there's a fairy dust wand just like sprinkling as he runs or something. I mean, look, I thought it was going to be KC or Ravens versus San Francisco. I'm going to go Tennessee. I like Mike Vrabel. I like the freight train. I don't think anybody has an answer for it. I do agree with you to an extent that KC can probably put up points to match that bowling ball that's happening, but I'm gonna have to go with Tennessee just out of magic. I told you some teams have better coaching, some teams have just better players. I'm liking the way that's looking, so. That's going to close us out. Looks like Eric had technical difficulty, but Eric's picking San Francisco. I'm picking San Francisco. Eric's picking Kansas City. I'm picking Tennessee. So we'll go with that.